Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the podcast series of ITSS Verona, which is led by the Human Rights team. My name is Luca Mattei, and along with my colleague Simona Sagone, we are going to interview Matteo Garavoglia, which is a journalist, expert in North Africa and especially in Tunisia. And we are going to talk today about a specific and very peculiar situation which is facing Tunisia today. But before diving into the concept, if you want to present yourself, Matteo, a little better, perhaps the floor is yours.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Thanks for the invitation, and hi everybody. I'm Matteo Garavoglia, and I'm a freelance journalist based in Tunis, in Tunisia right now, and I'm following for Italian newspaper the political situation and economical situation here in Tunisia, and I'm also following the migration crisis here in Tunisia. That is another topic here in the country, and yes, I write for some Italian newspaper, and I'm approaching with other colleagues also here in Tunisia the political situation that is living deep transformation in the next months, in the next weeks.
Sure, but since I think that not everyone is very familiar with the Tunisian situation, could you expand a little bit on what happened in the last year in Tunisia?
Yes, so basically here in Tunisia, from since 1 year, the political situation is living a profound crisis, and a deep political crisis led by the President of the Republic, Kais Saied, at first. And to explain what is happening today here in Tunisia, it's not, we have to come back to 2011, when all started with the revolution here in the country in 2011 that led the so-called springtime, the revolution in all the Middle East. And basically, from 2011, the political class here in Tunisia didn't respond, didn't answer to the concerns of the population here in Tunisia from an economic and a social point of view. This for 10 years has been a deep concern for the population that led consequently to a deep economic crisis that also today Tunisia is facing on. And last year, the president, Kais Saied, that he was elected in 2011, and he has a strong and profound populist vision of the country and a deep sovereignist position for Tunisia, led a coup of force that is so-called here in Tunisia. He resigned the government, and he frees the parliament, and elected a profound restructuration of the justice sector here in the country. And what we have to ask as observers that we are outside of the country, because and we have to ask it's why this happened in Tunisia on the 25th July. Tunisia, we have to remember that for 10 years has been viewed as the only country that led to a democratic experience here in North Africa, here in the Middle East, after the 2011. So we saw misviewing basically of what is Tunisia today. Tunisia is a country that is living, as we already said, a deep economic crisis. And when we say deep, it's really, really deep. I can say that today Tunisians they struggle to buy basic food as fish or meat, and this is really struggling. And this as it's a factor basically of the loss of confiance that is interesting the political class in Tunisia from 2011 to 2021. Said played on this, and he led a coup of force. And it's one here that the president is leading the country as the only person that is leading this country. And the next 25 of July, Tunisians are called to pronounce themselves about a constitutional referendum that will change the constitution. We have to know that Tunisia has a constitution that was how to say, that was voted in 2014, and it's a constitution that it has always been seen as a democratic constitution, and one of the most liberal constitutions from North Africa and Middle East. This constitution will be withdrawn the 25th of July in favor of a reform that we can say that it's mega presidential. So Sayed will have the country in his hands. We have to start from the government to the justice sector, and the parliament and the counterpowers will be de facto withdrawn. So this is a response to the economic crisis and to the political crisis that has interested Tunisia from 2011 to 2020 with the healthy and economic crisis. So we have always to think about what we have to take about Tunisia, that we can never we have to always think that Tunisia is really related in a political and economic situation. We cannot understand what is going on here in Tunisia today without thinking that there's this economic crisis that reflects also the political crisis. So the old parties, we can start with the Islamic Party and Nada that ruled the country for 10 years. Has been now today it's seen the party and its political leader Rashid Ghannouchi is seen as the enemy of the country, the enemy of the population, because they didn't respond to the needs of the population. So if we see this, we can understand what is going on, what is going on since 1 year in Tunisia, and we can understand also the consensus that it's around the president today. He has a consensus about the 70% of the population, and yes, we can the civil society and some part of the population, they see inside a really danger for the democracy, and probably Tunisia from the 25th of July of 2022, most probably Tunisia the democratic processes in Tunisia will be stopped for years. And this is a real danger, but what we have to see that it's a response from the economic crisis that we already said, and also a response to a political situation that Tunisia considered that it couldn't go anymore since 1 year.
Sure, but I guess that the COVID crisis also worsened the situation. But talking about crisis, the impact of the Ukrainian war in Tunisia, which actually accounts a lot of imports from Ukraine of wheat and other cereals, etc., and also a substantive part from Russia, actually. And in this framework, which is already, as you have described, troubling, the food crisis stemming from the Ukrainian war, how is impacting Tunisian society?
So basically, for the COVID crisis, we can say that the 25 of July of 2021 it's a specific period of the healthy crisis that there was in Tunisia. People there were scenes of people that and they have died on the streets because they couldn't reach the hospital, and there was a really political crisis and COVID crisis. So this also to explain what it was going on in July 21. About the impact of the war in Ukraine today for the national economy in Tunisia, we have to say that Tunisia is living a structural crisis that is going on for 30 years. Maybe that it's really linked to the development and economic model that ruled Tunisia from 30 years, and specifically the impact of the Ukrainian and Russian war on Tunisia. It's related to the wheat and to the other importation. We have to say that Tunisia imports more than the 50% of wheat from Russia and Ukraine, and this was a problem for basically for the importation, because Tunisia it's a strong consumer of wheat and other healthy food from Ukraine that it's importing. But another impact is the inflation in Tunisia. So we have said that Tunisia is living a structural crisis. So it's a country that struggles really to close the budget law year per year. So this was a problem in 2021. This was a problem in 2020, 2019, 2018, 17. So basically, what the budget law was voted in 21, that was really linked to the tax of inflation that there was in Tunisia at the end of 21. So if the inflation is higher, there's a strong problem for the country. So we passed from a tax of inflation from 6% to 8%. It's enormous, this, and it's enormous for the to all the levels of the budget state. So we have to say that Tunisia, it's a country that it's ruled also by the head of state, and about a subvention for hydrocarbons from for the basic products as wheat, as bread, as milk, as oil, and other type of food that are basically basic food, and it's a problem today. So the state struggles to import, not only as just importation. So it's not linked about a problem of importation from Ukraine because the ports in Ukraine are closed today, but also if Tunisia has to look to other countries, we have like Canada, like Europe, like Australia, that there are other countries that they are strong about the cultivation of wheat. Tunisia has a problem to buy this type of element, and today Tunisia depends from the head of the European Union for this, and has a strong problem to close the budget law of 2021. It's since the last year, the June of last year, that Tunisia opened a dialogue with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, for a loan of about $4.2 billion. And from this loan, it depends all the future of the economic situation in Tunisia. But obtaining this loan, it's not for free, for sure. IMF already asked for the stop for a strong program of austerity, and since today we don't know which are the negotiation between the Tunisian government and the IMF, but we can say, listening also some actors of the civil society here in Tunisia, that there's a strong program of austerity in the public function. IMF asked to a stop of the assumptions in the public sector of Tunisia, and what we have to say that Tunisia, the Tunisian population depends from the public sector strongly, really. We have to say, for example, if we stop the assumption in the hospitalization sector in Tunisia, there's a problem because the hospital here don't work, and there's a necessity, and there's a strong necessity to us to open a campaign of assumption of medical and other type of work. And if we stop that, we go down. And the other factor, we can say also that the state isn't capable to see what is which is the population that need ads from the state. IMF asked for a stop of the salvation programs that is ruling Tunisia since 30 years, and the middle class here in Tunisia will be deprived of some grants that the state can donate. This was we have seen this also with the COVID crisis, when the state was interested in giving some money to the population for us, as we did in Italy and in other parts of the European Union. But Tunisia, the state and the government wasn't able to see which is the population who needs this money. So if we withdraw the head of state from part of the population, we really risk to deprive some part of the population of these heads.
Okay. Okay. Do you want to, I don't know if perhaps my colleague has a question as well. Do you want to ask something to Matteo?
Yeah, thank you, Luca. Thank you, Matteo, for being here. I have just one last question. So we know that you operate as a reporter in the North African region. Especially you have traveled a lot and worked a lot as well in Tunisia. So as a on-site journalist, could you give us your opinion on what it is like today to be a journalist in Tunisia?
Yes, so today, after the 2011 revolution, we can say that the journalism in Tunisia experienced a really growth and a great freedom of expression. If we have to see before with the Ben Ali era, and this is a factor that we have to emphasize a lot. There are there are independent medias here in Tunisia that they do investigation, they do in-depth journalism, and they work a lot. For example, Nawet and Intifada are two media outlets that they are independent, and they work really, really well for investigation and other kind of work in journalism. Also, the press freedom is we reach here in Tunisia a deep freedom of expression, also with the traditional press. And we have to say that the press here is focused mostly about what is going on in the capital, Tunis, from a political and economical situation. We don't have a really great point of view about the peripheral areas, that they are the regions that they suffer most for the economic crisis that there's in Tunisia today. And me and other colleagues, we can do our work we can write, and we can say what we want, what we see, and there's no particular problems about security problems. But there's always a but here in Tunisia. Since 1 year, the journalist union here in Tunis expressed particular concerns for the press freedom here in the country. So from the 25th of July, as example, the 14th of January, it's the anniversary of the revolution here in Tunisia, and there have been many manifestations in Tunis and in the other parts of the country. And what we see as journalists, and what the press union saw, it's multiple aggressions against journalists. And another element that we have to focus and we have to see is that also the union journalists here in Tunis rejected completely the draft of constitution that Tunisians are going to vote the 25th of July, because there are several doubts, several concerns about the rights and freedoms here in the country. So basically, from the 25th of July, what we can say definitely, it's a real danger about the democratic processes and the experience of democracy that Tunisia has been living for 10 years. And there's a deep concern about the economic crisis that in the next weeks, but also in the next months, maybe there will be some manifestation from an economic point of view. And what we have to ask is the response of the government ruled by Sayed, because many experts here in Tunisia are starting to say that the country is closing from a security point of view, and this is a problem. And what we have to ask is also why Tunisians are going to vote, because what we have to say and what we can think about the referendum, it's the Tunisians are going to vote for element, or an economic reason. The response, I think today, is that they are going to vote for an economic reasons, because they see inside the last opportunity to give freedom and dignity that the Tunisians were already asking in 2011. And if Sayed if the situation here, if Sayed cannot reach some results in economic point of view, and also in a political point of view, the risk that is the Tunisia in the next months and the next years will fall down completely.
I see. Okay, we are a little bit running out of time, but still it was really, really interesting. Also, it is a topic which should be deepened more, of course, but it has been interesting nevertheless. And I want to thank you, Matteo, for coming.
Thank you to you. If you have other questions, I'm here. No problem.
Sure, sure. Thank you again, and looking forward to your work, actually.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks.